It was April of 2011 when we moved into that little house in Gary, Indiana. Me, my mom Rosa, and my 3 children. It wasn't much, just a small house with 2 bedrooms, an old porch, and a basement that always felt too cold. I thought we were starting a fresh chapter. The first sign that something was wrong seemed so small at first that I almost ignored it. There were flies, hundreds of them, covering the porch door in the dead of winter. We killed them over and over, but by the next morning, they were back again. It was like the house kept producing them. My mom looked me in the eyes and said, "This isn't normal." Something's wrong with this house. I tried to laugh it off, tell myself we were just tired, but inside, I felt it too. A heaviness in the air, like someone was already inside, waiting for us. Then came the nights. I remember lying in bed, hearing the sound of boots walking up the basement stairs. Slow, heavy. I held my breath, listening as they stopped right at the top. I crept out of bed, opened the door, and there was nothing there. The air was still, silent. That's when the knocking started. Always at the back door, 3 slow knocks, like someone who knew us was waiting outside. Each time I'd check. No one. Not a neighbor, not a stray dog, just darkness. I told myself it was the wind. I told myself I was being paranoid. But the truth was I was already scared. It didn't take long before the kids started to change. My youngest, only 7 at the time, woke me up screaming in the middle of the night. He pointed to the corner of his room and sobbed, saying there was a man standing there. I ran in, turned the lights on. There was no man. I told him it was a dream, but the next night, it happened again. Then, a few days later, I started hearing their feet running in the hallway at night. When I checked, they were all asleep. And then one morning, my 12-year-old came out of her room with red marks around her neck, like someone had tried to choke her. She told me she woke up and couldn't breathe, that something was pressing on her chest. I wanted to believe it was just nightmares, but the marks were real. The scariest change was in my middle son. He started sitting in the corner of his room for hours, just whispering to the air. When I asked who he was talking to, he smiled at me, almost like it wasn't really him, and said, "The tall man. He wants to come inside." My stomach turned. I tried to get pastors and priests to bless the house, but every time someone prayed in there, the activity got louder. Doors slamming, footsteps, shadows darting across the walls. One night, a family friend agreed to stay over to see if I was imagining things. Around midnight, he came running out of the bedroom, barefoot, screaming that something had been standing over him, pressing him into the mattress. He refused to ever set foot in that house again. Even the police came after we called them one night. They saw wet footprints across the floor that led nowhere. They just stopped in the middle of the living room. And they got so shaken they left quickly, telling me to get help. But nothing could have prepared me for what happened the day everything finally broke. We were at the doctor's office. I had taken my kids there because they had been acting so strange. My middle son started growling out of nowhere, his eyes rolling back, his lips curling like an animal's. Then, right in front of the nurses, he began walking backward, up the wall, until he was standing upside down on the ceiling. It was like gravity didn't exist for him. One of the nurses screamed and ran out of the room. A caseworker grabbed my other kids and ran. I just stood there, frozen, watching something that should not be possible. After that day, I knew we couldn't stay another night. Priests came, performed exorcisms, blessed every room. Holy water hissed when it touched my kids' skin, like it was burning them. Their screams still haunt me. I packed what I could and left that house for good. But before I walked out that door one last time, I stood in the empty living room. The house was quiet, too quiet. That's when I heard it. A whisper right behind me. It said, clear as day, "Come back." I shut the door, and I never looked back. People say maybe we were imagining things, that we were just hysterical, but tell me, how do you imagine a child walking up a wall? Whatever was in that house, it's still there, and I don't think it's done waiting.